Welcome back to Hard Hats and Headspace with me, Stuart Wallis. This is a in-person podcast today with my friend Ray Higgins. Ray is currently the Labour Manager for Phoenix ME, but we'll get into a bit more about what Ray does and a bit of history as well, where he's got to in his career, so that we can try and help people that are looking at their careers in construction. So thanks for coming on, Ray. I appreciate it. Do you want to tell people a bit more about you, where you come from and what you do now, whichever way you want to do it? I know there's a lot in there to unpack.
Started out as a electrical apprentice, did a few months and really enjoying it. Thought maybe that would be the career path, but an opportunity came up to go to university and no one in the family had done that. So I thought, well, I'll get 4 years off here, funded by the family. So I chose to go down that route and ended up going into the industry, but not in the capacity I thought. So I ended up in an office-based role, labour hire, and did that for 20 years with 2 or 3 different companies. Fancied a change, and now head of labour and head of industrial relations at Phoenix.
Amazing. Well, I mean, we've known each other. It's got to be at least 10 years, about 10 years, I would say.
Maybe more, yeah.
Yeah, God. Through the Crossrail days.
Yep.
And obviously you were still in the labour hire side of things then, as was I at that point. But I had a slightly different role then, and I think that's why our paths crossed, really.
Yes. Yeah.
Because out of the 2 businesses, we were working together, 2 businesses. It was only me, really, that had that experience previous to there. What I would say is I watched you pick up that experience and move on. So it's great to see you over at Phoenix now.
Yeah, really enjoying my time there. Great company.
So day to day, what's the day to day for you at the moment with Phoenix?
So I head into the office. Obviously, I've got a long commute up from the South Coast.
I know, yeah.
Get into the office at 8:30, couple of hours in the office, and then generally off to a project.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for 90 operatives, electricians, apprentices, supervisors, spread out all across London over several projects. So I like to get out to site, meet the guys, see how everyone's progressing. So that's pretty much an average day.
Predominantly it's London-based then?
Yes, I mean, Phoenix, as a company, we work in Europe, we work on data centres, and in the UK, we've got a Cambridge office, deals with projects in that region and London. But my labour is pretty much London-based.
Brilliant. And that is, what's the split, M&E?
The labour that we carry is all electrical.
Right.
Mechanical side, the majority of the work subcontracted out.
Cool. So obviously there's a lot. I know Phoenix as well from many years, but including my time at Mace. And you look at the London market at the moment, I would say you're probably the biggest M&E player in London at the moment that does the work themselves.
Yeah, I think lots of them, yeah.
And I think that, and obviously there's a renewed Mace connection recently.
Yep.
With Gareth joining it's Ned, isn't he? Non-exec?
Yes.
So, yeah, hopefully plenty more to come.
Yeah, we're working with Mace on several projects, and like you say, hopefully there'll be a lot more.
Well, I've been watching different project wins that we've got lately, and I'm just thinking, who's going to do it all for us? Who's going to do it all for us? So there's enough there. But it's been interesting, I think, over the last... Yeah, I mean, I'm 6 years near enough with Mace. And just in that period of time, watching the industry change.
Oh, dramatically, yeah.
And I think the challenge we have moving forward is still how do we attract younger generation, next generation into the industry to be part of our what is a wonderful career.
Yep.
If you like. Any ideas?
I have actually. I've been working on a bit of a side project, and I've been looking at the industry as a whole and how we can attract people into the industry. And I think there's a lot of young people out there that do want to go into the industry.
Yeah.
It's just that pathway. So it needs to start off in schools, I think, attracting people. But once they're in college and they're on these full-time courses, how do we get them into companies and get them the opportunities? So I do think there's a lot of people out there that do believe in the industry and want to get involved. And I think as an industry, we all need to be better in achieving that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of young guys and girls out there who are completing 3 years at college, getting their level 2, getting their level 3, and then there's no placement at the end of it. And that's what I think we need to address.
I agree. And I think the difficulty there is the commitment from, I think, SMEs, so small and medium-sized enterprises, are the core of where we are. I don't necessarily think the big contractors like Mace, like Phoenix, are the answer all the time.
Yeah. But I think we could support the SMEs. I think
100%.
it needs to come across the chain. So yes, it will be the SMEs in the main that employ people because they're boots on the ground. But us as larger clients, companies, we need to support those companies because we all need these guys and girls to come through.
Making sure there's the sort of longevity and continuation of work.
Yeah.
3 months here, 6 months, and then 3 months, no good. And for example, you've got to have that continuation of work and variety as well. I mean, when I was looking after the apprentices, and you'd have a plumber who'd do everything, but he hadn't changed a sink. And to pass his apprenticeship, he'd have to change a sink. Well, this is ridiculous. We need to get someone to help him change a sink. So he'd go off and do a week's work experience with a housing association on our payroll, I might add. But, needs must.
You are getting a fully rounded individual who knows everything. I mean, I've addressed that in my time at Phoenix. We're currently in the process of releasing the Phoenix handbook for apprentices because when I joined, I realised, like you just said, that the lads might be on a project for a year doing an absolutely fantastic job, but are they learning everything that the City and Guilds requires them to learn to complete?
Chances are not.
So we've brought this handbook in now. It's being released in the next 4 weeks. And what it will do, it will help the operatives and it will help us as managers to ensure that they are learning everything. So, yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Good. I like that idea because, I mean, I go back to Terminal 5 days. God, it's ready to be rebuilt again. And there were brilliant apprentices at working at airports.
Yes, because that's where they've been.
Yeah. But he put me in London and not an idea. And the project manager would be like, hey, who have you sent me here? Oh, sorry, but, we don't need them at the airport. Oh, not another bloody airport one. Send them back. And vice versa, by the way. You put someone on a high-rise in central London.
And that's their focus.
You send them to the airport, they hate it because they've got to go through security. They can't work all night. There's no extra hours. All right.
I guess that's where Phoenix are lucky in that we've got a diverse range of projects, data centres, commercial. So with the release of the handbook, we can move the lads around and give them that full experience. But like I say, let's work with the chain, let's work with those SMEs and help them to achieve that as well so that they're getting the fully rounded individual that we all need.
So one of my passions that I've talked about a lot throughout the podcasts, but also personal passion, and with my ADHD diagnosis, I'm very conscious of it, of neurodiversity as well. Where have you come across that in anyone's thinking in terms of apprenticeships? What if someone's autistic or dyslexic or dyspraxic, or can't read as well, can't write as well, can't count as well, but is actually bright enough?
I think it's just starting to be realised a bit more. I mean, my experience, my youngest son, he's diagnosed autistic and ADHD, and I've learned so much from that. And if I hadn't sort of lived that experience with him, I probably wouldn't understand it as well as I do with my individuals that work for me. So that's been eye-opening, and that's helped me, I think, to be a better manager and a better employer. I definitely think companies are starting to learn more about it, and I think, my experience with Mace, I definitely think the larger companies that have got the resources, they really do focus on it now, and I think they're really good at recognising it.
Yeah.
I think over time that will filter down, and I think the smaller companies will get better and better. But I say it's not a new thing, but it's a newly diagnosed. We're only really as a society starting.
We're
to
late to the party. Construction,
Yeah, I think so.
right?
Yeah.
And I don't, I'm not pointing fingers at my business or yours or any. I think as an industry, we're late to the party. We look at the way apprentices are trained. They are trained not too dissimilar to what they were in the way they were trained in the mid-90s.
I think you could say that about education in general, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree.
And I think, kids are taught to pass exams. I've just watched my daughter go through that, and they didn't learn the subject for 6 months before. They've got to keep, no, they have to do some bloody revision because it's so long since they learned.
Yeah.
So, but construction's late to the party on this, and I'm lucky. I have a unique insight. I've said it before. My best friend, one of my best friends, and my wife are in business together, doing, but were long before I knew Nancy.
Yeah.
And they look at how they help people at work be their best, and you don't need a diagnosis for that, And I have a diagnosis, but I didn't ask for one. I just got one during different issues and discussions. And it's, because of all the years of companies' fears over the cost of reasonable adjustments, right, for physical disabilities, I think there's an inherent fear of what it'll cost for neurodiversity, right? But too scared to open the can.
Yeah,
right.
Possibly an unmotivated, yeah.
I think that's there, right? From what I've seen.
Yeah.
And I take, for example, so, with the disclaimer of who is running that business, I take Genius's Finder Pro. Right, you go, you sit on your phone for 10 minutes, answer all these questions, and it gives you what's called a spiky profile. And the bits at the top of the spike, what you do really well, the bit at the bottom, you could do with some help with. And it goes, oh, right, have you thought of this? Loads of free tips and tricks. I'm sure that's not what they're called, right? But tips and tricks. Like, if you have someone like me who's got the ability to be distracted by a pigeon going past the window, in the middle of a site as a construction manager.
A lot of distractions.
So much. But put your back against the wall. You've lost half the distractions. If someone tells you, you're like, oh, that's obvious. When I think of that, that doesn't cost the employer anything. But the employer's put this thing in place.
Yeah.
You don't even need to know. You don't need to know as an employer. So I am desperate for my own business to pick it up and do more of it, right? Whether they will or not. But
it's the stigma of it as well. Like, obviously, a physical disability, more often than not, you can't
hide it. Yeah.
I've had several people in the last 2 years of my time at Phoenix tell me, after having a conversation, they might have asked me what I was doing at the weekend, and I was talking about my son.
Yeah.
And it's happened on numerous occasions. Oh, I'm ADHD.
Yeah.
I'm autistic. And I didn't know. They hadn't disclosed into the business. Now I know I can help them all. We talk about it, and the individuals that have opened up to me, we're putting things in place for them.
That's brilliant.
But unfortunately, there is that stigma, and people don't want to tell their employer, their friends.
Yeah.
And I think until maybe that's a societal issue, not just a construction issue.
You're right.
Until we get over that point.
It's a big learning curve, that.
Yes.
It's a big learning curve. And what I looked at with this thing that I was talking about, this survey, it doesn't ask you whether you've been diagnosed. And it doesn't diagnose you. It asks you what you're good at and what you struggle at.
Yeah.
Right? And at the end it goes, well, these bits you've said you're really good at, there's some tips to keep you there. And here's some things for these things you're really struggling in. Like, I could fall over air, my daughter would tell you this. Right? I could fall over air where I could bang into stuff. So that's in there. That's one of the questions it asks. So it says, right, down here, you bump into stuff a lot. When you walk down the corridor, stop and look. See if there's anything to trip over. Right? Now, air's difficult, but everything else, right? That's just me having some thought process into, right, okay, concentrate on where you're going. It's simple, isn't it?
Just be more aware.
But I didn't think like that before. You know, I've gone back to a paper diary. I'm sure the rest of my colleagues hate it because my Teams will have a green green dot on it. Well, you're working. No, I have a diary. It just means I'm at my desk or I'm not at a desk, right? But for me, that helps me because I can visually see stuff better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think going to things like that, and there's levels you can go to where you can profile people from their skills during recruitment.
Yep.
And go, you thought about doing this? We've got this role in our business. You might fit best there. Like, well, that's next level stuff. But things like that, I think, like the simpler stuff, we should be having that systemically as part of our industry or part of a company. You don't have to diagnose people. You don't need to be worried or scared as a business that if someone comes to you with a diagnosis. Because if you are systemically including them and saying, do this, it'll give you some tips on how to work best when you're working for us, we might address a bit of the retention.
And also, like those, the disabilities we're discussing, some of them, the people with it gives them greater skills. So, example, I've got a friend, I won't name the company, another main contractor, and they had a QS. He'd been diagnosed, and they said it made him better at the role because he was so focused on the figures. He knew he was right. Yeah. So they could put him in front of any contractor, and he would argue the case, and he would not back down because he knew he was right.
Knew what he was doing,
and he wasn't thinking about anything else. He was just focused on that one thing.
And I think you have to be careful with the right terminology these days. I watch it online sometimes. You used to be able to say superpowers, and there was a big thing, and now you can't say superpower. Yeah. But there is. You are brilliant at certain elements.
Yeah.
And I have found when they said, "Well, you've definitely got ADHD," at that point I was like, "Oh, so that's not a surprise because my son has ADHD, and I can't concentrate that well unless I'm really into it.
Yeah.
And if I'm tired, I'm useless, right, from it." This was me spotting it, but I can read notes once or twice and remember if I write them.
Yeah.
If I put them on a computer, no chance.
Taking them in, yeah.
So, those kind of things, practical solutions to how I remember. I can stand on a stage, which is all new to me, but I felt all right, doing the panto and all that, which might be coming again, we'll see. But I can do those things, no problem, because I found it fun. I got a buzz out of it.
Yeah.
But that, I think, comes from being ADHD. I don't think, look at my brothers, you wouldn't get them up there.
No.
They're completely different to me.
Yeah.
My son's a bit of a performer. He'll get up and act a fool in front of loads of people as well.
Yeah.
Wife, definitely not. She would do it. She doesn't mind standing up, but it's more serious. Let's stop that before I get myself any more trouble. If she listens. But yeah, so go back to, so what did you study at university?
Humanities. So
did you?
Basically, at college, I wasn't doing particularly brilliant at any particular subject, and I asked my tutor, I said, if I went to university, what do you think I should do? He said, do humanities, Ray. He said, there's a bit of everything there, you'll be all right.
What is it then? Geography, history?
English, history, philosophy.
What was it?
Philosophy, I must admit, that went over my head.
I wouldn't have
Don't ask me.
philosophy.
I remember one that I think, therefore I am, that sort of...
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, it sounds very... So, it was called humanities in secondary school for me. Yeah. And it was religion, geography, and then you go, oh, I'll do geography because it's flags and shit.
Yeah.
But it's not when you get there. It's like rocks and
clouds.
You're like, what did I do this for? But anyway, sorry, I digress. So you did humanities.
Yeah. I enjoyed my time there, but I wasn't sort of too focused on the course, and came out of there, still didn't know what I wanted to do myself. I'd enjoyed being Sparky's mate, but I felt the time had passed.
Yeah.
You know, that had been 3 years previous. Thought I was a little bit too late to get into that. And looking back, wouldn't have been at all. And I've learned that now.
Yeah,
It's been so long
annoying,
at the time. But yeah, so this opportunity came up to go and work for a labour hire company. I did it for 1.5 years. Didn't particularly enjoy it. It was about an hour's drive from where I lived. And I just thought, I can't see myself doing this for much longer. One of my clients asked me to come up and see them.
Yeah.
I took the day off. I drove up to Essex, which was a long, long way from where I lived at the time. Got completely lost and said to myself, there is no way I'm going to be taking this job. And I worked there for 20 years.
Well, I know what you mean, so yeah, I can imagine. But it is weird, isn't it? I mean, I never thought I would work. Recruitment never even came on my radar. It wasn't that I didn't want to do it or I wanted to do it.
It's just not that sort of thing. You don't
Just
grow up
hadn't
thinking,
thought about
I
it,
want to work in that, in that environment.
In sales. And then I got a job with Matthew Wall, which is similar to what you're doing now. Very similar it was then. And then that changed because there was a holding board of directors and new ones come in, the old ones go out, new broom. And so I ended up doing a bit of consultancy work first. Got a bit daft. I'd never done it before. I'd never been self-employed in my life, so I didn't know what I was doing. My wife would tell you, don't let him be in charge of it on his own.
Yeah.
Don't let him go on his own because he'll just forget to do stuff, I need an accountant for sure, right? So I got off and doing the consultancy stuff, and I ended up working for 3 different employment businesses, giving them advice.
Yeah.
And helping them do the rates, to be honest. I would have done anything for a day rate then. Until one of them said, you can't work for the other 2 and me. Oh, I was like, well, that's a bit mean. And therein was the life of, my experience, certainly of 2 of them, of just how dangerous they could be to each other, how horrible they were to each other, right? And I was like, I ain't getting into that game. 5 years, I didn't how the hell have I done this? Don't get me wrong, I had some of the best times, some of the people I worked with in Farringdon office and when it was there, and had lifelong friends. I wouldn't, we did work together in that time as well, and I have a lot more respect for recruitment, having worked in it.
Yes, yeah.
Than I understood. It's not that I disrespected recruitment, I didn't get it. And now, when I'm talking at Heathrow, right, or at the airports, but I'm trying to build up the reputation of the recruitment businesses in our supply chain. We don't ask for a single person, or supply chain do, but I want the right ones as part of our team, because not only can they damage your reputation if they get it wrong, but let's be honest, they fund a massive part of our project and our builds.
They're building your project.
Yeah. The labour gets paid every week.
Yeah. The
contractor might not.
Yeah.
Or the subcontractor might not, or both. We're not a brilliant example of that because we're good at paying people. Doesn't mean the second tier are, by the way. But the lads always get paid and lasses on site. So I always think there's a massive amount of respect due to the employment business, especially on a contract where it's all PAYE, it's not CIS workers. But even then, it's the same applies. They'll get paid every week.
Yeah.
So, this Thursday night, I'll be at doing a night shift. And you sit there and our supply chain directors get grief, sometimes deserved, right? And they get it in the neck from me after, sometimes not.
Yeah.
So I stand up for them. Because I always remind them, look, when we're being difficult, one of my QSs is questioning whether it should be called bonus or attendance allowance or whatever it might be, right? and they're arguing over here, you're still getting paid.
Yeah.
Right. So, you would take on different battles and stuff. But I think that role of the recruitment businesses I got from that 5 years there. And also, you got to go to New York and whatever. That was quite good. That was good fun. But, yes, but you see the bad side of it as well. I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
And not saying I would go back to it either. I'm not saying I wouldn't for sure, but we've all got mortgages to pay. Hard side.
Yeah.
And I think the stuff we have to put, which is not for this podcast, but the stuff we have to go through and understand, and the politics of it all. Yeah, it certainly puts you in good stead for going to work for a contractor, doesn't it?
Definitely, yeah. Definitely.
So you get used to it. So, yeah, we did. God, you did 20 years. I did 5 years. Sounds like we're in the prison, doesn't it?
It does really.
That's someone else. But we got out of that, and I think your experience with 20 years in the people business, this is what it is. Shows you're good at it. Yeah, I toasted a pint yesterday to Max White. Long
Remember
time.
Max very.
Yeah, great bloke. Because it was 10 years ago yesterday that he passed away. Week before his 41st birthday.
Yeah, I remember.
He was in the people business.
Yep.
He was, but he cared about people, and that's what made him a success. And I think you've got that. I've got that. And I got a lot of that from him. And I think, it's few and far between that have that knack of spotting it.
Yeah, Max was a great guy. I remember first time I met him was at an event. Obviously, we were competitors. He came over, introduced himself. We ended up having a chat, and it put me at ease. He was a fantastic guy, yeah.
You hear people say, never heard a bad word said about him. And you think, well, I have. Right. He's the only one in my head I've ever heard that about.
Yeah.
I've never heard a bad word said. People are wondering what I think about him now, but I don't mean it that way. He genuinely, everyone you met him, they went, oh, what a lovely bloke.
Yeah.
From being able to present to a room of contractors, as a relatively young guy at that point, he was, 30-ish when I first met him, and hold the room perfectly, far better than the owner would have been able to do. He was great. So we were going out on a night out and having the best laugh I think I've ever impromptu stuff with noodles flying everywhere and all sorts of, oh God. But yeah, great bloke. And there's not many of them around. So what's next with Phoenix then? Are we growing? Are we?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Apprentices?
Growing at a pace, picking up more and more work. We're working on some pretty large projects in London at the moment. I think data centre world is a real sort of aim to really grow and develop in that area. We've just started another project abroad in Norway. It's been going a few months now.
Wow.
So yeah, I think the business is just going from strength to strength.
Sending you out there? Let's have a look.
I'm sure I'll get out there at some point. But yeah, even the negatives, last year when ISG went, the way Phoenix managed that, I was so impressed. The way they dealt with it, the way they looked after their contractors, we're saying about, looking after people. They managed it so well. They worked with their partners to get everybody through it. What was a really horrible experience, certainly my worst experience at Phoenix. But, they dealt with it so well. And we've come through that now and we've moved on and hopefully everyone else that was affected has been able to do that.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, I thought you were, I agree, I thought you were incredible. I thought the way Phoenix handled themselves, it's just fact, right? I wouldn't say it if I'd have been there.
Yeah.
You know that. Right, so I dropped a text message to a couple of your board directors that I know, including the owner. Are you all right?
Yeah. First,
before the business. Like, fuck yeah, Stuart, fine. But it was, we will be fine and we'll come out the other side of this stronger. Yeah, what a message, right? It was brilliant because everyone needs to hear that. Your clients, your colleagues, your suppliers.
100%. I was lose faith, and that's when trouble starts. Yeah,
and no qualms, no secret about how hard it was either. But we're like, it is hard. It's not where we want to be,
of course,
but we're going to smash this, and we'll come out. And you have come out there bigger. Phoenix on the flames, if you like. And I just from the sidelines admired that from Lee on down.
Yeah,
and I think I was with you today or before or after. No, just after, wasn't it?
Just after, yeah.
And I'm like, "You're right, mate," and you're like, "Yeah,
yeah."
Think
it's a bit
so.
of a stressful time, yeah.
But look, it's interesting times. I think. I love our industry, and I think I'm pretty sure you do too. There's some amazing projects that I'm looking forward to. Open to see you guys on as well. I don't have a say on that, by the way. But yeah, London is buzzing again.
Definitely.
Massive demolition. Thankfully, you can't hear in the podcast studio going on next door. But it's like the biggest version of the Forth Bridge ever, in London. It just keeps getting rebuilt and repainted. But we're here together. Mace Construct will stay as Mace Construct. We'll see what happens as we move forward. We've got some things like the British Library coming up, which is going to be incredible.
Say Euston, maybe, with that.
Oh God, I hope so.
We don't talk about that.
Oh, we can't. Well, yeah, I can't remember the client. I can't say the client's name because But that railway line thing with the train station at the end, which is down to governments, right, and successive prime ministers. There's only been 2 governments, and one of them's only had 1 prime minister. The other one, I can't remember. It's like a packet of midget gems on it every day, wondering which colour you were going to get, which kind of person you were going to get with a Conservative government. But, as my CEO said live on radio, we are capable of building these things as an industry. Definitely Mace, but as an industry, we're capable of building things. If you say, this is what we want and this is how much money we've got. If you go, change my mind all the time, guess what? The price goes up. Because you have to keep taking things down again and redraw it. It's frustrating. But
it's there, some of the work's been done.
So much work's been done.
It could be such an amazing flagship part of London, but it's just...
I hope so. I mean, I am passionate about, first of all, working for Mace, but Heathrow and Euston got into my blood because, I spent a lot of time there, but you can see the difference. Aviation and Euston, I would say. I love Gatwick as well. You could see the difference it can make to a city.
Yeah.
And we do that brilliantly everywhere else. It just seems when there's public bodies involved, it doesn't work as well. And I am not... I'm not into stakeholder management, and there are plenty of people in that business, that side of the business, who go, thank God, right? For stories I wouldn't even tell on the podcast. But I think we could make London a great place if they just listen and let us get on with it.
Yeah,
right. We wouldn't put a taxi rank in the wrong place. This is what our predecessors did. We on that project, and maybe why we have it. And you talk to the taxi drivers now and the local borough council, won't them turn left. Got a wonderful taxi stop at the train station next to the bus stop. That's why all those things jumbled up then. And they can't get in. If you go to big U-turns, no, I'll just go somewhere else then. But yeah, fingers crossed that'll come off.
I've always been involved in rail, and as you know, and I was heavily involved in Crossrail. Probably give me a bit of grounding for this role. Even though I wasn't employed as a lane manager, that was definitely my role on Crossrail, and sort of opened my eyes to that. And I'd love to see it happen. I just think it'd be fantastic for the city.
It is, and There's a whole other podcast at some point when I'm allowed to say those two letters and a number. Where we could talk about opinions and experience.
Yeah.
And I think we'll do that one day, definitely. But I'm about to get the project director in this room at some point in the future, so hopefully then. But it is a great idea. Politicians got involved.
Yeah.
My opinion. Right, my opinion. So, but yeah, look, Ray, thanks for coming in, mate. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, fantastic.
Been a good chat. I hope Chelsea have a good season.
So do I.
It's starting turning into a selling club now instead of a buying club. What's going on? Everyone's out the door.
You have to abide by the rules. So.
Well, once you sold the women's team, PSR and all that, I'm not a bitter toffee at all, is it? One-off City. Anyway, listen, good luck, mate.
Thank you
Appreciate
very much.
that.
Yeah,
Thanks,
appreciate the time.
Thanks for listening once again. Huge thanks to Ray Higgins for taking the time out of his busy day to come and talk to me on Hard Hats and Headspace. Just wanted to add a little side note that we recorded that podcast the day after a mutual friend of mine and Ray's, really good mate of mine, Max White, passed away 10 years ago to the day before we recorded. So there's a couple of pictures and a few mentions of Max in the podcast this week. We should never forget those that we've met in our lives, and network and influenced us so much. He was genuinely an absolute legend of a person, a lovely man, a great father. So live life to the max, keep going. Hope you all had a great bank holiday weekend, and I'll see you all soon.